Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. So yes, I am able to make another video despite the weather and discomfort. I am kind of hot right now, I mean warm, but we'll see how things go, okay? As said in this live chat, feel free to leave your opinions as we go along, your thoughts. What do you think of certain individuals and certain events, current ones or past ones? Did they happen, did they not? The damage of them, anything in general, okay? As well as talking about other stuff too. Now, to be more specific, what I'm talking about is we're going to be looking at some of the Wadsworth brothers today. Now, I know some people will probably be like,
"Oh, you're a bit too late for that. You should have done it sooner. Why are you doing it so late? What's the problem?"
It's like,
"Oh, you having another, you big stiff plum. I'm going to knock you out, you big idiot."
it's like, calm down, you know. Because I've done it in a certain format and style, I've looked at alternative stuff as well as other things in different orders. So because it's done in a different order, you know, it's self-explanatory, right? Not everyone will know of the Wadsworth, the other brothers, such as Troy and Scott, who we're going to be looking at today. One of the main individuals is Kurt Wadsworth. Some of you would have already heard of him and about him. A few of you might have just heard the name but don't know much about him. I tried looking online just roughly about Kurt and not much came up at all. It's just all to do with the YouTube videos and all of that stuff and the long dragged out ones. But I was able to find individual articles and news reports regarding Troy and Scott. So that's why I'm going to look at them today, okay? I think we'll start off with we'll start off with Troy first of all, and then follow with Scott as there is a bit more recent news around him, okay? And before I get into any of these, as I heard like the odd person previously talking about saying Salty Pancakes was with Kurt and like defending some of the Wadsworth brothers despite what they've been involved with. I don't know if that's true or not, but I have heard that, okay? You can leave your thoughts down below. Do you think Pancakes is aware of some of the Wadsworth brothers' actions and behaviour and that Pancakes is defending them, or is he just not aware of that stuff? Let me know what you think down below. Now, before we get in deep with the criminal past history and events with the Wadsworth brothers, I need cooling down right now. I need to get wet, you know what I'm saying? Because it's warm. The weather is dodgy. Country is dodgy. The sun is dodgy. The light is dodgy. I'm feeling dodgy. Is there any water? I don't know. Probably dodgy water. But, you know, any water around, anywhere? Is anyone going to offer any? Tyler. Oh, you're the only person that has the water. How much will that cost? Shit. I'll give you it after the live video premiere. Okay, I'll give you the money. Okay, thank you. So, got some water here, okay, just to keep hydrated. There's not enough for the penguin. There's not enough for this and that, just for me, okay? But you know what? I'll be nice, okay? Do a little bit of a discount, okay? So feel free to give what you can and bless you, okay? Bless you. Is that making contact with you? I'm not quite sure. Hopefully it is. Bless you and bless you and bless you. Okay? I need to use the rest of it up. Okay, so I need to get wet, to be honest. Okay, so let's get into the first individual. So the first individual is Troy Wadsworth. Now, I'll show you a picture on screen right now. Oh God, I am a bit wet. That's going to take some time to dry. Anyway, the first individual, Troy, you look at his face, there should be a mugshot on screen right now. Seems to have like long hair, it's kind of separated, looks a bit rough, worn down. I don't know if that's through drug usage or just the way it is naturally, but you can see on screen, some of you might have already seen him before, you know, in other people's videos. And yeah, I have as well, myself, but in the past, I was like, who the hell's that? I've never seen them before. I don't know the name, I don't know who they really are. You know, the odd video might have said Wadsworth, but it didn't say the exact first name of the individual. But now you know. That's what Troy Wadsworth looks like, okay? So I only found like one, I think it's only one, article about Troy and some past criminal history. So I'll share that with you now, read it, and try and break it down and analyse it. Okay, so here you can see on the screen the date of this is supposedly 2008, so quite a while ago, but we'll read it out nevertheless. Elko, a Montello man, is in jail on a $100,000 bail after he was arrested Tuesday for allegedly breaking into an ex-girlfriend's residence on multiple occasions and aggressively stalking her. Now that's interesting. You know, first of all, a $100,000 bail sounds quite a lot compared to the other criminals we've heard of here and there. In addition, the way it's been worded once again and the style of crime committed, the stalking, aggressive behaviour, we saw that with Chase Venstra. Chase was done for stalking one of the girlfriends, as well as breaking protection orders and being aggressive at times. So we are seeing a crossover with multiple people. It could help explain things. Let's continue reading. Troy Lionel Wadsworth, 46 years of age, was arrested at a bar in Montello on 2 charges of burglary and 1 of stalking. So when it says a bar in Montello, it means Saddle Saw Bar, as there is only one there. It's interesting how it says burglary, because that's similar to Robert Aviles, as well as Jim Brenner for stealing items, and even Chase Venstra too. Once again, we're seeing crossovers. Now it says, recent incidents between Wadsworth and the woman began Saturday, when Wadsworth allegedly broke into the woman's Montello residence, battered and terrorised her, and threatened to kill her before she escaped and fled to a friend's residence, according to a sheriff's office report. So, damn, Montello residence. So I don't know if it's directly in town or around the outer skirts in a trailer. I mean, the actual security of those buildings aren't exactly great, so it would be fairly easy to break in. So, yeah. But it just shows the aggressiveness. And this is like an example now. You know, we're seeing it. If we're tying it in from the last video, the last discussion, what we did, where I was bringing up about what Ty said, how female population within Montello haven't been treated too well, or at least when they were younger. So, you know, things got messy and damaging with time and some trauma too. And this is kind of demonstrating it in a way, you know, being stalked, which isn't great, being threatened, aggressiveness, being physical towards a person being physical towards her. So you are starting to see things open up. I mean, although there might be good people in the town, there'll be also darker moments and events going on. So yeah, let's continue reading. According to the report, Wadsworth allegedly followed the ex-girlfriend to her friend's home and tried to coax her from a room in which she was hiding while the friend pleaded with Wadsworth to leave. He eventually left but sat outside a window of the residence, according to the report. So that'd be kind of creepy, just seeing that guy looking through the window in the dark. The woman attempted to call police from other locations, according to the report, but Wadsworth followed her and continued to attempt to block her efforts. She was eventually able to contact law enforcement, who arrested Wadsworth Saturday on charges of domestic violence, burglary, and coercion with a bail of $10,000. Wadsworth bailed out of jail the next day, then allegedly continued stalking the woman, breaking into her residence before he was arrested again at the Cowboy Bar, according to reports. So already we're starting to see the type of behaviour Wadsworth are capable of. This individual, somewhat unstable, determined, kind of obsessed with the odd person. Even when there's consequences, when detained, arrested temporarily, it didn't faze him one bit. So that was really the only article and news I could find on Troy. I don't know if there is any newer reports and updates, whether Troy is still in jail or not. It looked like he was put in and then he was on bail and then he was out the next day from the way it was worded, and then he was arrested again, and then that's when the $100,000 bail was put on. I don't know if anyone paid for that, if anyone helped him out, or if he's still in jail to this day. I'm not sure because I've not seen any updates. If you know more about Troy, or at least the updates following from that 2008 arrest, feel free to leave a comment down below. And just in general in the chat, what do you think about Troy? You know, his presence, his actions, from what it looks like, what he's done previously. Do you think he's a threat, a danger to someone like Dylan Rounds? Or is Troy more of a threat towards, the residents of Montello, such as the school and, that type of age? So, yeah, not looking too good at the moment, is it, with the WadsWorth brothers? Can briefly just talk about Kurt for a second if you want, if you haven't heard it already. Supposedly Kurt, is a bit more influential financially compared to other people in Montello because of the bar he runs. I think he runs it, or something like that. And he's been known for being a con or scam artist, screwing people over. So I guess some illegal activity there. I don't know if there's any other serious stuff going on. There might have been rumours. If you know, or if you've heard other stuff, feel free to share and discuss. It might fill in the blanks as we go along. So yeah, I think it's time we move on to Scott Wadsworth. I think there might be an image of him, like a mugshot. If it's on screen now, or I might be able to show it in an article later on. When you look at Scott, does he look similar to the other Wadsworth, or do they share similarities? I don't know personally, mate. I mean, they all look kind of different. I can't see similarities in certain features, in my opinion at least. This guy, he's got what do you call it? He's got a neck like a giraffe, and yeah, that's all I can really say. So I'll show you. I think there's like one or two articles. They might be kind of similar, but one mentions his name, the other one doesn't. So I'll read both out for clear context. And then I think there's some court papers or documents to share as well. So let's get into that now. So the article reads, Utah Supreme Court reverses $13,000 restitution for victim. Okay. Salt Lake City, the Utah Supreme Court has reversed an order that a convicted offender must pay $13,000 in restitution to his victim for lost income potential. Okay. So if I'm correct in saying what? So the offender has to pay to the victim because the victim hasn't been working and lost out on money. Is that what it means? Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's carry on reading. The ruling overturns several lower court orders that Scott C. Wadsworth must pay for lost income for the victim of his crimes. In a ruling handed down earlier this week, the state's top court said the Utah Crime Victims Reparations Act, as it was written at the time, did not cover her potential for lost wages. So from the looks of it, the victim is a female. So once again, I guess it's kind of reinforcing that point about, the females being targeted within the area by these bad guys. Is there anything else to look at? There's a picture of a dog there. Okay. The state does not allege that the victim suffered bodily injury as a result of Wadsworth crimes. Justice Thomas Lee wrote, it alleges only that Wadsworth crimes led to the victim's depression, which required counselling and impacted her ability to work. The district court ordered Wadsworth to pay $12,934 in lost income, in addition to restitution of the cost of the victim's counseling. The Utah Supreme Court said the law, which has been since amended, only covered bodily injury when it came to lost work potential. Justice Lee focused on the word if in the law. The if clause expresses a condition. It says that the court may consider the income lost by the victim as a result of the offence if the offence resulted in bodily injury, Justice Lee wrote. Wadsworth was paroled from prison in 2015 after serving time for unlawful activity with a younger person, enticing a younger person, exploitation of a younger person. Prosecutors alleged he met a girl over the internet in 2003 that led to the crimes. So a fair bit of this is happening in the past. So like with the other brother, Troy, 2008. This guy, Scott, 2003. Is there anything else? No, that's about it for that article. Let's move on to the other one and see if there's any additional information to the crimes committed. Okay, so unfortunately there's no reader mode for this one, but the title of it says, Utah offender must pay victim for lost wages. Okay, so we've seen that before. June 8th, 2015. A man who exploited a Utah teen will have to reimburse her for the pay she lost when depression caused by the led to problems at work and a reduction in her hours. Okay, so we're seeing the type of crime and what he did to someone. It does make you think, did Scott do this to anybody else in between? I'm not quite sure. If you know, feel free to leave comments down below. In a 3-0 decision, the Utah Court of Appeals upheld a 3rd District Judge's order requiring Scott C. Wadsworth to pay nearly $13,000 in lost wages, who is now an adult. That makes sense. The ruling said the connection between the crimes and the victim's economic injury is sufficient to support the award under the Crime Victims Restitution Act. I think I said it correct this time. Assistant Utah Attorney General Tara Peterson said the ruling puts on notice that they will have to pay for the damage they inflict, no matter how long it takes for the victim to heal. Okay, that's interesting. The decision is a victory for the victims who suffer severe debilitating psychological pain long after it ends. Tammy Atkin, victim advocate for the Utah Attorney General Office, agreed, saying restitution will never make the victim whole, but it's a good beginning. It says Wadsworth met the then 14-year-old girl in an online chat room in July 2003, and the two chatted online and on the phone, court documents say. During their conversations, Wadsworth, then 34 years of age, sent the team numerous indecent images and video clips. On one occasion, he went to her home and she performed on him, according to the documents. So, we're getting an idea. So it's not just, online, it's physical as well. Now, with it talking about an online chat room, I don't know what type of chat room or platform it's on, dark web or not, but with it being online, so did this occur all in Montello, the actual town, or the outer skirts, and then they met that way, even though they were living very close together and didn't know each other at first, as I'm trying to understand. But yeah, from the looks of it, this is a solid example of probably what Ty was talking about when it comes to, younger individuals, females, how they're treated, how they're brought up, and then bad things happen, trauma, long-term effects, physical or psychologically. And this is like demonstrating it because it said she developed depression as the after effects of all that. So yeah, we are starting to see the darker side of the Wadsworths. And whether it be people associated with the Wadsworths or people who are other, like the other brothers of the Wadsworth, and they're defending this. It doesn't make them look good either. Even if some of the others are cleaner or don't have as bad of a criminal past, they're defending this, then it doesn't have a good outlook overall, does it? In addition, it says, in December 2003, Wadsworth was charged with 26 offences stemming from his misconduct with the girl. In 2004, he pleaded guilty to exploitation of her, unlawful activity with her, and enticing her over the internet. The remaining charges were dismissed and sentencing was set for April 2005. So is that it? I know. But Wadsworth fled before his sentencing and was a fugitive until July 2009, when Idaho police discovered during a traffic stop that there was a warrant for his arrest and turned him over to Utah authorities. So from what, like 2005 to 2009, on the run, you know. So in that time, in that space, he could have hurt other people, you know. And how was he able to last so long without being caught? Was he just literally on the run, hiding in trailers in the middle of Montello, maybe Lucin? Was anyone covering for him, like Kurt, or maybe Troy, or somebody else? You know, this is what we've got to try and understand, because if they are criminal underground networks as well as friends of friends or family, brothers, and so on, and they're covering for one another, it does get very messy. And like with the Dylan Rounds case, if there is a certain suspect who's responsible and they just so happen to be friends with somebody else or have a brother, they might cover for one another. So although Jim might be in jail right now, there could be somebody else responsible, or in addition responsible, who's on the run, just like how Scott Wadsworth was at a point in time. And whilst that's happening, whilst they're able to be free in that space of time, the question is, are they doing any more damage? Are they hurting anyone else? Because that can happen. So yeah, that's not looking too good. Let's carry on reading. 3rd District Judge Vernice Treese sentenced him in December 2009 to 1 to 15 years in prison and ordered him to pay restitution in an amount to be decided later. So that was 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's at 15 years. And suppose, it sounds stupid me counting, but I'm not great with maths. But from what I've heard of recently, Scott has been arrested again. So he didn't serve the full 15 years, just a bit less than that. Okay? It makes sense because one of those things, isn't it, where if you show good behaviour in prison, despite what you've done, you know, people might be a bit more lenient on you. Your charges might be dropped slightly, or your sentence years might be reduced by a few months or a year, who knows. So I guess that might have happened with Scott, because he was released after that. So we'll get more into that shortly, okay? Let's carry on reading. At a restitution hearing in November 2010, the victim testified that both Wadsworth's crime and the reminder after his arrest of what had happened caused a deep depression, which led to an inability to interact with her co-workers and a reduction in her hours. In addition, she said the emotional trauma put a strain on her marriage that required counselling. So you've seen the extent of what it can do. Treese ruled that Wadsworth's conduct was the direct cause of the victim's psychological trauma and pay loss, and ordered him to pay, like $13,000 in lost wages based on the victim's reduced work hours and $6,500 for counselling cost. Wadsworth did not appeal the counselling restitution but challenged the pay reimbursement, arguing there was not a direct nexus between the victim's lost wages and his conduct because of the several years separating those events. So what Wadsworth is doing, it clearly shows he lacks the empathy. I know people will say, no shit, but I'm just pointing it out, okay? It shows that what he's doing, he's demonstrating minimalisation, okay? So regardless of the length or time, the break in between, there can be a delay, there can be knock-on effects towards a victim when it comes to bad things. It doesn't happen immediate. Just like even when you drown in water, you can get secondary stages of drowning, and that's afterwards, okay? It doesn't happen all at once. So Wadsworth is just like playing it down, saying, yeah, but it wasn't that bad what I did. That's what he's getting at. So he's showing that disregard, that lack of care, that, he's just throwing it off the damage he can cause. It's like, well, what else is he capable of then? What other damage could he do? How much worse could it get? Probably much worse, Anything else? It said, in addition, he said, even if his criminal conduct caused the victim's damages, her lost wages are more appropriately classified as pain and suffering damages, which are not covered under the Crime Victims Restitution Act. So, from the looks of it, Wadsworth is trying to be a little bit clever, trying to, really be specific with wording, I guess. I don't know how intelligent he is. I know when people were talking about Chase Venstra, some said Chase Venstra, out of all the suspects or individuals in the case caught up, he's one of the most intelligent and creative when he's not on drugs. So, I don't know if that applies to Wadsworth as well. But, once again, Wadsworth trying to minimise but also be clever with the wording and, I guess, the laws and stuff. But I guess it didn't work out for him. Is there any more? The Court of Appeals rejected those arguments, saying the Act explicitly provides for victims to receive restitution for lost pay, and that those wages were connected closely enough with Wadsworth's criminal acts to be recoverable. In addition, the court said the 4-year separation between the crimes and the victim's lost wages was due to Wadsworth absconding prior to his original sentencing date, and that he should not be rewarded for depriving the victim of her right to prompt a resolution of the case. Wadsworth is serving his sentence in the Utah State Prison and is slated to be paroled August 11th, 2015. Okay, so that's the end of that article. I think there are some court documents. We can have a little look at them right away. Okay, so I guess these are the court documents of the whole case, tied with Scott C. Wadsworth. This is all publicly available, so, nothing private or dodgy like that, so it's all public, okay? Some of you might have seen this already, but I'll just read it out briefly. So it says, in the Utah Court of Appeals, State, Utah, Scott C. Wadsworth, defendant/appellant. Scroll down. Appeal from a conviction of exploitation of a second-degree felony in violation of the Utah Code, unlawful activity with a younger person, a third-degree felony in violation of the code, and enticing a younger person over the internet, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of the court. Anything else? Yeah, okay. What's this? The Attorney General, the Salt Lake Legal Defender. Okay. I don't know how much it would have cost, the court case and the court cost when hiring people and lawyers. If Montello is struggling financially or people can't afford certain things, I don't know how well things go there. In the Court of Appeals, what's this one? Appeal for conviction of second degree. Is this a repeat or something? It looks like it. What's this? Point 1. The trial court had a duty to inform Mr. Wadsworth of his right to assignment of counsel after being informed of the difficulties and confusion surrounding private counsel and violated the Sixth Amendment by threatening that Wadsworth would represent himself unless he straightened out the problems with private counsel. So what he was going to do, he was going to pull off a Ted Bundy. He's going to do what Ted Bundy did, where, he defends himself, he acts as the lawyer, and he also acts standing up for court as well, doing everything. Interesting. The trial court erred in denying Wadsworth's motion to withdraw his guilty plea, where it was shown that his plea was involuntary under Utah Code. Okay. Table of authorities. Don't really know what any of that is, so I'll just skip through it. Okay. Summary. According to the dictates of the Sixth Amendment, guarantees and the principles that flow from the right. Okay. Wadsworth indigenous can't read this. Wadsworth indigency status and inform him of his right to a sign of counsel rather than incorrectly asserting he would be forced to represent himself as a trial or be incarcerated pending trial. However, the trial court failed to make such an inquiry to ensure Wadsworth's Sixth Amendment rights were not violated, and there was no evidence that Wadsworth was no longer indigent. Instead, the trial court's erroneous declaration forced Wadsworth to believe he had to choose to either proceed to trial with the assistance of an attorney with whom he had lost confidence in, or represent himself with facing the possibility of incarceration. Because the trial court violated Wadsworth's Sixth Amendment right to counsel, the choice of counsel. Wadsworth's plea was involuntary and the trial court denial of his motion to withdraw his guilty plea was erroneous. Apologies if some of this is oh god, I'm spazzing out of all the words. Apologies if this text or some of it is repeated. It's just like reading it from the slides, okay? The trial court had a duty to inform Mr. Wadsworth of his right. Yeah, we've seen this. What the fuck? Why does it keep going on? Okay, I'll just scroll through it and you can pause the video if you want to. Well, I'll just carry on scrolling through this because it's not really much use to me, at least. I wasn't sure if it was going to give like quotes or responses from what Thingy said. This is all to do with like people representing him and the issues around it and how things went, people being hired. What's this? Mr. Wadsworth had some arrangement in his case, and I'm not letting you out of this case until Mrs. Gustin or somebody else makes an appearance, because I'm not continuing this. But anybody down here on the 22nd or the week before, I know we can't try this because I don't have a lawyer. Okay. What's this? Where dissatisfaction is expressed, the court must make some reasonable efforts. Whatever. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there because it's not really helpful, this. But you get the idea of the articles, what I've just previously showed you. Okay, so I look rougher by the second, the way the hair's going. I don't know why. Stop touching my face. Stop touching my face, you little bitch. There we go. I'm sure I slapped myself once in a previous video. I don't know why. What did I use? I think I used a severed hand when I slapped myself. I'm sure I did. You're probably wondering, what am I doing with a severed hand? Well, good question. The problem is I can't find it, so I don't know where it's gone. Oh, there we go. There you go. You know, handy Andy always needs an extra hand sometimes when stuck. Or not when stuck, when I don't know, when trying to solve something. So, where are we? I don't know. Right, okay, let's be serious, okay? So, you saw those reports, you saw the Wadsworth. It isn't just one brother misbehaving, it's two. What about the third one, Kurt? Well, Kurt's done some bad things here and there, but maybe not as serious. But I'm sure Kurt would know what Troy and Scott's like and what they're capable of. So with those things in mind, you know, it's like, well, they might cover for one another, as I said. You can leave your thoughts down below. What do you think of the Wadsworth brothers? Do you think they are a threat, a danger to people in Montello, just like how Jim has been labelled as a threat? Do you think the Wadsworth are a danger to Dylan, despite Dylan being, somewhat good friends with Kurt and getting on well? Could the other two Wadsworth brothers caused trouble with Dylan? Or let's say Dylan got in the way of those when they might have been performing a certain bad act at a point in time. You know what I'm saying? Now, can't say too much about Dylan and Troy, because if Troy's still in jail, as I said, because I'm not quite sure the situation with him, but Scott was out and about, I'm sure, in recent time. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? That's what the understanding is of this video. Whilst it's looking back at previous crimes of these people, it's trying to understand, are they free? Are they out and about now, doing their own thing? Or have they been put back in jail since? So if you know those bits of information, or if there's certain dates that are incorrect, feel free to correct in the comment section. That'll be appreciated, okay? So, okay, what other crimes have gone on? Well, there is one which heard recently, okay? Don't know if this is true or not, but I'll just kind of relay it roughly. So Scott C. Wadsworth, despite what he's previously done, okay, and serving time for about 1 to 15 years, so, if you cut it down a little bit, and he's been out and about since. I saw a comment online saying Scott was recently arrested on drug charges or something like that. Now, when you look at Scott's mugshot, he looks like he could have been using drugs at a point in time. Sometimes when you do take drugs, and bad ones, and consecutively, it can have knock-on effect negatively on one's appearance. It could be the eyes, the pupils, maybe the skin complexion, quality. So you can see that at times. Might not always be the case, but sometimes it can hint at it, okay? So I can't remember what the exact drug charges were, whether it was in illegal possession or distributing, dealing, or taking, one of which. I'm not sure what type of drugs. I don't think it was methamphetamine. It might have been something else. As said, if you know, or if you've heard it, you can leave your thoughts in the chat, okay? I'm just talking roughly. But if it was the case, it wouldn't surprise me, because as we know, the area and some other people have been known for doing drugs. There's all those talks about meth labs, underground or not, in abandoned buildings near Montello or slightly further away. But that stuff's happening, people dealing drugs, trafficking, all kinds of reckless, illegal activity. And from what we supposedly heard from with Chase Venstra, who's also taken some form of drugs at times, it's caused him to act out, be dangerous, reckless. And from what Ty said in a previous interview, although Ty is friends with Chase, Ty said when Chase is on drugs, he can be a bit unstable and unpredictable, so it's not always good approaching someone like that when they are in that state. And so that might tie in partially with certain crimes. It fuels them to act out. And there'll be other things as well, other problems and other reasons to why they do what they do, but it's just like a small part of it which could encourage them to keep on doing whatever they're doing. Right, okay, so apologies just for jumping and cutting for a second, but, regarding Scott Wadsworth and his arrest for usage of drugs and stuff, well, luckily, Julie just jumped in beforehand. That sounds like it's breaking the fourth wall or something. Not literally now. Julie might be present right now, but earlier, okay, and mentioned about the correction. So it supposedly was Ty who called. No thanks, heard from what Ty said about Scott supposedly being arrested, but that doesn't seem to be the case now, because from what Julie said, another YouTuber on YouTube did a video discussing it, as well as showing a personal video of Scott explaining the situation. So I haven't got many droplets left, just a tiny bit, okay? So there you go. Bless you, Julie. There you go. So let's just take a look at some of this text and information to truly understand what's going on with Scott right now.
Yes, this is Scott Wadsworth. The recent news you heard of my demise and imprisonment was exaggerated, to say the least. I don't see myself spending any time in a jail or a prison anytime in the future.
So the way he was talking, fairly slow, calm, wearing those sunglasses, trying to look cool, I don't know, or maybe he's wearing them to cover his eyes because it might reveal something, or some kind of drug usage, as I said, you never know. But, you know, he's not in jail. It said it was all exaggerated. And to be fair, this case, at times with information and misinformation, things have been exaggerated, haven't they? You know, let me know your thoughts, what you think. So, yeah, there is that. Who knows, there could be a knock-on effect or something could happen in the future. You never know. But, yeah, at this moment in time, Scott is free. Nothing's happened. Nothing's gone wrong yet. So, is that it? No, we haven't finished yet. Okay. So, some external information, you could put it. I don't know if they want it to be credited or not, but credit to the person, they know who they are if they do watch the videos, okay? Just a little point, a little backstory or something about the Wadsworth as a whole. And then I'll share with you some other crime news, okay? Let me show you now. So one individual stated that there's a militia of vigilantes that operate in the desert, headed by Kurt Wadsworth. He laughs and calls it the Neighborhood Watch. Chase was being hunted for in the desert, and I guess the militia requires people to remove their shoes for control. Chase's ex, that he's getting more charges for, released text about her asking Chase if he did this. Chase says the day Dylan gave him a ride, his birthday, May 25th, and told Dylan Kurt's and he had found, indecent pictures, I guess, on Kurt's phone. Kurt and Chase used to get along but now hate each other. Chase's dad came and picked him up that day and he wasn't even in town that weekend, so I assume that's referring to Park Valley. So from the looks of this, the Wadsworths are tied up in some kind of groups, bad ones. And even though, what I said about Troy and Scott, their previous history and, how they've been and treated younger people of certain genders, from this, it looks like Kurt may be involved as well. So, you can give your thoughts down below and your opinions. Now, we're going to move on to another article by the East Idaho News Channel, I believe. And it's someone called Aaron Wadsworth and his friend, Devin something. Now, I don't know if Aaron Wadsworth is a Wadsworth brother or it's just someone with a similar name. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, okay? But I'll still read it out to you because it could be relevant within the case, okay? Moving on. So the title of this article, Man Arrested for Trafficking the Third Time in 4 Months in Drug Investigation. 7:53 p.m, February the 3rd, 2022. So more up to date. Got a mugshot of the two individuals, guy on the left, guy on the right. Look a bit rough. Aaron Wadsworth and Devin Sibbett. I assume Aaron's on the left and Devin's on the right. Idaho Falls. Police arrested a suspected drug dealer again along with his roommate after a search warrant Tuesday. Aaron Wadsworth, 34 years old, is no stranger to the Idaho Falls Police Department as he has been arrested for trafficking methamphetamine twice in the last 4 months. Earlier this week, officers arrested Wadsworth again along with his roommate, Devin Sibbett. So once again, we're seeing that type of drug, methamphetamine, seems to be quite a popular one within the area from the looks of it. It then says, police detained Wadsworth and Sibbett at a storage unit along Sunnyside Road before going to the men's house on 15th Street. Sibbett told police they would only find 13 ounces of marijuana and nothing more, according to the court documents. The search of the house yielded much more. Inside Sibbitt's room, investigators found 15 grams of methamphetamine and a prescription bottle of dextromethorphan, a drug used to treat ADHD, in someone else's name. Police wrote in a report that they also found 8.2 ounces of marijuana in the basement. Okay, there's a fair bit going on. Inside Wadsworth room, detectives found drug paraphernalia, several containers of marijuana and 2 bags of fentanyl pills. Police estimate about 1,000 pills were inside the bags. Syringes with a bloody mixture that tested positive for amphetamines were also inside the room, according to the court documents. At the time of Tuesday's arrest, Wadsworth had been out on a $100,000 bail in connection to a December drug arrest. Police were trying to arrest Wadsworth on an out-of-county warrant when they found 590 fentanyl pills along with multiple baggies of meth weighing about 90 grams. Officers also found out-of-state dispensary bought marijuana, a bottle of alprazolam pills, and over $4,000 in cash, according to court documents. Okay, so definitely been involved with a range of stuff and, been persistent with it. The bail, 100,000, quite high again, same as Troy, but it does make you think though. I don't know if it kind of applies, but like Troy and his crimes, Troy Wadsworth was 2008 and his bail was 100,000. Fast forward to 2022, this drug offence by Aaron Wadsworth, 100,000. If Troy did what he did like now, present day, would that bail be inflated much more due to the changes of money and how things cost these days? Would it? Let me know what you think in the chat. So yeah, anything else? In September, Wadsworth was also arrested and charged with a list of crimes, including felony meth trafficking. He posted $75,000 bond in that case before the December incident while out on bail. Wadsworth made at least 2 trips to California to purchase drugs, according to court documents. In text messages, investigators say Wadsworth talked to dozens of people selling fentanyl, meth, marijuana, and prescription pills. For Tuesday's arrest, Wadsworth is charged with felony possession of fentanyl with the intent to distribute and felony possession of meth. Sibbitt is charged with felony possession of dextromethorphan, felony possession of meth, and felony possession of marijuana. Bloody tongue-twisted this with all the bloody drugs. Wadsworth is expected to appear in court Friday for preliminary hearings for the September and December drug cases. It is also anticipated prosecutors will ask to have Wadsworth bond revoked because of the additional charges stemming from the alleged continued crimes. Preliminary hearings for Wadsworth and Sibbitt on the February drug charges is scheduled for February 16th. Okay, so that's it for that. So, wow, quite a lot to process now. Okay, so numerous people mentioned and different mugshots of each person. They all look different and stand out from one another, despite supposedly all being brothers. I don't know about Aaron though, as I said. It could just be of similar name and that's all, and not related. But if they are related, then, once again, it just fills that, I don't know what you call it, that expectation of, the type of crime, it's either violence, it's either dodginess with younger people, or it's drugs. One of the 3. That's what it seems to be. And then the ones like Jim, Roberts, and then they're like violence and stealing. So there just seems to be several overlaps with one another. Jim with stealing, tied with Roberts with burglary, tied with the ones I mentioned in today's video of stealing. It goes deep, okay? Woo, all over the place. So, yeah, there's not really much else I can say. All I can really put it is these Wadsworth people seems to be involved in a fair bit of crime, or at least back then was. Could be a threat towards other people now, maybe. Dylan could have been caught up in it in some way, directly, indirectly. As I said previously, one of the theories was with this supposed militia group within the area, and Chase running across the desert bloodied, maybe because he was attacked by the militia trying to escape. Dylan picks him up, rescues him, driving off, and then Chase confesses, says what's up. Dylan hears about it and then plans on, whether it's the same day or a day or two later, reporting it to someone, and the militia catch on and find Dylan and stop him from, doing it and take him out for good. That's one way you could interpret it. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this militia and Kurt running it? Do you think it's true or false? Do you think they are a danger, a threat towards someone like Dylan, who lives basically alone on that land in Lucin? Yeah, interesting. There's not much more I can say at this moment in time, okay? Just wanted to share with you these individuals to, get you an idea of more patterns and more crossovers and more links between different suspects within the case, to understand what they are and what they are about and what they were capable of, at least, okay? Because not everyone might know, so it's worth just covering, okay? And it just highlights that the more people you know about who may know Dylan or not, who are dangerous people, the more dangerous people, the more likely one of them might have been responsible for Dylan's outcome, okay? Because it's like being in shark-infested waters. The more chance of something bad happening to you if you're surrounded by many, many, many sharks, because maybe most of them are fed or satisfied, but the odd one might not and might bite you. So that's kind of like how it is with Montello. The more sharks, the more criminals, higher danger, threat level for someone like Dylan, especially if you cross the wrong side of people, wrong place, wrong time, conflict. So we'll see what happens next. From the looks of it, obviously, there's been a bit more misinformation since, like with what Ty or Doug said, one or the other. But if it's cleared up along the way, then that's all that matters. So appreciate it if you managed to watch most of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.